This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about $1 million Bitcoin. And why now? One of the obvious reasons that we can't emphasize enough is that we did not have Bitcoin spot ETFs last cycle, and they make it extremely easy, obviously, for anyone to buy Bitcoin and not have to worry about cold storage issues. They make it extremely easy for billionaires, millionaires, corporations, hedge funds, pension funds, endowments, central banks, and nation states, literally the deepest pools of capital that exist in the solar system. Now, I personally think you should buy real BTC, not crappy BTC IOUs that depend on Coinbase custody, like most of the Bitcoin spot ETFs do. But I think it's still undeniable that Larry Fink has been making the rounds proselytizing for Bitcoin and Bitcoin spot ETFs, telling everyone it's uncorrelated, it's a great hedge against currency debasement caused by monetizing deficits, and telling everyone basically that he's BlackRock and he approves this message, so all of you RIA investment advisor sheep are blessed to recommend it to your clients. This was basically what we talked about a couple days ago when we talked about billionaire Michael Saylor reposting a tweet by billionaire Michael Dell highlighting an interview with billionaire Larry Fink, and all of them are obsessed with Bitcoin, and that's why I think you should be as well. The macro backdrop looks extremely favorable as well. A Trump administration will continue the two-party tradition of massive deficits and binging on debt, which will then need to be monetized by the Fed through money printing and purchasing this debt, as Larry Fink agrees. The Fed is also done hiking and rate cuts are just around the corner. If we take a look at the December 2024 Fed funds projected rates from the futures, we can see there's a 41% chance that we get basically 50 basis points worth of cuts, and there's almost a 52% chance that we get 75 basis points worth of cuts. And then there's some outliers here as well, but we're definitely in the rate cutting part of the cycle, which is extremely, extremely bullish for Bitcoin. Even Jeffrey Epstein's banker likes Bitcoin now. Trump said in an interview a couple days ago that Jamie Dimon has all of a sudden changed his tune about Bitcoin and no longer considers it a fraud or a Ponzi scheme. And in other news, he's also said that he considered Jamie Dimon to be the Secretary of the Treasury. This is why I tweeted Jeffrey Epstein's banker is my BFF now. If you're enjoying this video so far, I just ask you to help to support the channel. Subscribe to the channel. That really helps with the algorithm. Leave a like, leave a comment, question, suggestion for a future video. Also share this video with a friend or family member. Now, do I think you should trust bankers like Jamie Dimon? Of course you shouldn't. Do I think he's had a real road to Damascus moment, a real conversion moment here? Of course he hasn't, but he's certainly been watching his competitor, Larry Fink, get all the Bitcoin love, and now he probably wants some too. So do I think that Dimon will pump Bitcoin for Trump and Wall Street? Absolutely, yes. This is one of the things that bankers do best. Then we come to the question of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. This was something I brought up about a week ago when I had my wish list for Trump to end the Fed and replace it with a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is something that I've actually been talking about for years. This was a video from 2 years ago in which I argued that the U.S. should buy Bitcoin and set up a storage facility like Fort Knox, we could call it Fort Nakamoto, and that they should begin to accumulate a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And this is especially interesting in light of the fact that yesterday we had breaking news that Trump is going to announce a Bitcoin strategic reserve to be built by the U.S. government when he attends the Bitcoin conference in Nashville next week. If the U.S. does this, if the U.S. government, the federal government, starts to accumulate Bitcoin, it will set off a global arms race by nation states and central banks to accumulate Bitcoin. And we could see daily candles of $100,000 or more. Whichever countries do it first get to reap the greatest benefit. This is something that El Salvador has really been leading the race with. Is this actually going to happen? It sure looks like the stars are aligning. Now, has Trump failed to keep his campaign promises in the past? Yes, but only his major promises. He built only a small fraction of his wall, and Mexico never paid for it. He never abolished Obamacare. He never put Hillary in jail. These are things just off the top of my head, and I'm not implying support for or against these promises, just noting that Trump talked a really big game in the last campaign cycle and never really accomplished many of his main talking points. How can you tell when a politician is lying? His lips are moving or her lips are moving. But what's one thing that politicians love more than anything else? And that's money and power. And I think that Bitcoin is the ultimate prize in both categories. The world has suddenly changed, and things are rapidly becoming more surreal than the Luis Buñuel movie. The fact that Bitcoin is a major campaign topic for a U.S. presidential election is surreal in itself. The only debate now really is whether Trump will follow through on his promise, which itself is surreal that we're even having this debate. Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon weren't exactly thrilled about Trump's Mexico wall, I don't think, but I do think the bankers may very well be on board for this campaign promise. So do we all ride off happily into the sunset? Almost certainly not. There's probably a very dark side to all of this that we're going to have to figure out as we go along. Why do the U.S. bankers suddenly like Bitcoin so much? Is this a ploy to keep the U.S. dollar relevant somehow, which is the only reason you can imagine the U.S. government would be interested in something like this? And also, what's the long game for capture here, if there is one? Are cypherpunk Bitcoiners destined still to be the richest people in the gulag, or are we on the cusp of the American experiment 2.0? I think the next 12 months are going to be quite a show to watch, and I'm glad you're here to follow along with me as we watch it. If you liked other ways to support the channel, consider giving a super thanks. This, even if it's just a few dollars, really helps out with the algorithm. You can also join the channel. You can get a channel membership here on YouTube. You just click the join button. Also put a link in the description notes below, as well as the pinned first comment. You can join at $2.99 per month. You can cancel at any time. Humble Bitcoin pleb at $2.99 a month gets you loyalty badges next to your name and comments in the live chat, and also custom emojis. And then if you want to join at the $4.99 a month level, Toxic Bitcoin Maxi, this will get you all those same perks, plus a few extra, 1 or 2 extra videos here on YouTube for members only every month. So consider doing that. This is more a way of boosting the algorithm than anything else. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and like. That really helps out the channel. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.